Welcome to the Joyriffic Podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks. We're so excited for you guys are here. Okay, introduce yourselves.
I'm Kelli Manwaring. And do you want me to do through all these things now?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So Jamie asked me to talk about kindness. Well, actually, you asked me to be on the podcast. And I was like, no. Because I also was like, I don't have anything to talk about. I'm not an expert in anything. And so then you texted me later and you said, I wanted you to talk on kindness. And I was like,
I texted you immediately.
oh, okay.
It wasn't later.
Did we talk about it, though, in person?
I
don't know. I think I had enough time to stew and be like, I don't know. But then you said kindness, and I was like, okay, actually, like, I can get behind that. That's something that's important to me, and that I think the world would be a better place if everyone were more kind.
It's like I was strategic in asking you to speak on kindness.
Perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. You want me to tell strengths now or later?
No, but you gotta go.
My name's Abby Franson. I am here because I am a kind friend.
That's true. I roped her into it. Because I'm better with a wingman.
And you guys are in a band.
That's true. Yeah.
Do.
What band?
Well, collab.
Also might sound like another word we've heard before. Collaboration.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
We sing in flower farms. And in our houses.
I feel like I should go get a guitar.
Although,
Isn't it a guitar too?
yeah, oh, totally, yeah.
Should I go get a guitar? You
Maybe
can...
later we could record some songs for
Okay.
the
Outro.
podcast.
The outro.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
I'm not going to forget.
Okay, good.
Okay.
No, but Jamie Mayo, who we sing in her flower farm, she texted us and said that somebody asked for our phone number because they want us to sing for an event. They haven't reached out, which is fine, but also we feel very flattered.
I'm totally
That's all
doing
we need.
shirts.
Yeah, that's all
Do you
we
guys
needed.
need a website?
Probably.
Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is happening.
Yeah.
Probably some paparazzi if you want to show up to the next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so how long have you guys been friends? Which actually, let's tell the story of how you guys became
Okay.
friends.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Maybe
fascinating,
you should
Jamie.
tell the story.
Oh, so,
Jamie's a connector. Am I right?
Yeah.
Jamie's a connector.
Yes.
And we were new. We had moved here at the same time in 2018.
I don't think I remembered that part of the story.
Oh, well, now you know. We both moved here like within a month. I moved in July.
We were May.
Okay.
Yes, I won.
So May and July of
2018.
2018. So it was Emmy's 9th birthday
Yeah.
that I met you.
Yes. Because our daughters are the same age.
Yeah.
So I went to the birthday party and like it was at the zoo and Julia was super nervous and, just anxious because she didn't know very many people. She's new and whatever. So I stayed at the zoo. And
you brought your other kids.
I think so. I think we went around
You
the
had a
zoo.
couple. Yeah.
With the other kids. So she had some people there.
Yes.
And you and I chatted.
Yes.
That was it.
Okay, so that happened. But then also we knew each other from church.
Yeah, neighborhood, all the things.
Yes.
Red chairs.
Red chairs, yes.
Right. And so you were trying to get a workout group of ladies who might want to go work out
course.
at the club together.
I think that hang out at the club is more of what I was trying to do.
That's fair.
She was
That's
trying
fair.
to connect people.
You were trying to
I
connect
was-
people.
The
Yes.
workout part just happened to be a part
Heavy
of
on
it.
your guys'
Yes.
parts, right?
Right, but you're like, oh, you are a member of that place? Oh, so am I. So is this person. So is this person. And so you
Yes.
started a text thread saying,
Yeah.
hey, let's meet at this class on
Yes.
this day. And so we're like, yeah, sweet, great.
Yeah.
And so we showed up.
So I go. I'm on like probably the front row or something. Second row maybe. I think I was at the front right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
Front.
I didn't know. I mean, nobody else I knew was there. But I'm fine. Like I go to workout classes.
You
I just
didn't
do the
make
class.
it.
Yeah,
Somebody
why would I go
somebody
work
didn't
out?
show
Like,
up.
that sounds
In
terrible.
fact, it was only us, but we've never met or knew.
I didn't know what she looked like.
Yeah, nothing. I knew a name named Kelly and that her husband did some medical school and mine did too.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Hey.
there's something we can talk about.
So then she looks around and she's like, "Who looks like they haven't been to this class before?"
I did.
I'm coordinated, but
She
come
looked
on.
good, but she didn't have the choreography memorized. That's all I was saying. Where the others were regulars. So I'm like, which one of these is not a regular?
She was at the
It's
back,
not
so
like
she
the
could
other.
she could scan the room,
Yes.
Yeah. So then she came up afterward and was like, "Hey, are you Kelly?"
Which is kind of not what I normally do. I don't
That's
approach.
true. That is interesting.
You're the approacher.
Yeah, that's true too.
And then you became besties.
Over
Yeah.
time.
And then
It
I
took a
just told
minute.
you I will never work out with you.
Truth.
You
Yeah.
did tell us that. We'll have to. So you got us to do other things with you.
Yeah, it's true. I brought you into other things.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right.
So,
Yeah.
yes. All right. That's our funny connection.
Yeah, that's so
Here we
good.
are.
And now you really are besties. Let's talk about your top 5.
Okay.
Because you have
Well,
very
it's funny.
similar.
Yeah, if you look at like our entire scope of strengths, we had a room of 20 something people or whatever, right? And we were like, who do you think is the most similar? And I was like, I'm willing to bet she and I are. Because if you look at them, it's like pretty darn close. And it's funny because the things that we differ on, we knew those things. Like,
right.
That's the difference between like her being a 9 on an Enneagram and me being a 2. Anyway, so there's a lot of crossover. Go ahead.
My top 5 are adaptability, empathy, communication, woo, and positivity.
It's that adaptability. I don't have adaptability.
I also don't have that one.
I've got woo, achiever, empathy, communication, and relator.
So the ones that you have that are the same.
So in our top 5 is not that many, right?
Our top 10 was ridiculously close.
Yeah.
But our top 5, we have empathy, woo, and communication. So 3 of the 5.
3 of the 5, that's true. But then
But the differences are like, yep, that's what the difference between us is. Like if 2 people were to know all the things about us, they would say achiever, adaptable.
And I love both of those things.
So then we come together in a collab.
And it like is like, bam!
Synergy.
How do you even get
mic
better?
drop. Which brings us to this moment.
Yes,
of
here we are.
You guys are actually like so kind in the things that you do.
So, a little preface, we were kind of discussing this together, and one thing I think that's really important is that we're not perfect at being kind, but we all are people that value kindness, you know, and I thought, like, so I taught school for a couple years before having kids, and I told my students, I said, nothing will make me angry besides you putting down somebody else in this classroom. Like, if I hear you talking bad about somebody else, that is going to be something that fires me up. Like, most things don't. But that just really gets to me. I think that people should be more kind. Anyway, so like we value kindness, even though we're not perfect at it. But I don't think anyone is, you know?
Yeah. Well, and if you think you are, maybe you need to do some inner reflection.
Something wrong.
Totally.
And maybe ask your closer friends of like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you came up with 2 different points on kindness.
Yeah. I mean, we tried to look at more points, but then we're like, everything is kind of encompassed in these 2. And so the first one is be kind to yourself. And the second one is be kind to others. So let's talk about being kind to yourself. And I think that it has to start there. You know, you can't give from an empty cup. And if your inner voice is critical of yourself, it's going to be critical of others, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's like 3 things that kind of jump out in being kind to yourself to me. And we've got physical. So are you taking care of your body? A lot of this joyriffic stuff, what needs are being met or not being met that are putting you in this place of distress? Because usually when we're not being kind, it usually is because there's distress, whether it's fear, anger, I don't know.
Sadness.
You're hungry.
Yeah.
You're whatever.
Yeah.
You're tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can take care of those physical needs, you're going to bed on time, you're eating enough food or the good foods, you know, you're having some social time, you're taking care of your needs, then that it's easier to be kind.
Yeah.
Number 1.
And you're going to have like more bandwidth to be able to be kind. Like I think about just recently had a couple late nights and I got home and I was like, I know that my patience is low right now, but I'm like, I've really got to mentally try to be patient and be kind because I don't need my kids. It's not fair to take that out on them.
Yeah.
That I stayed up.
Right.
That
But
I
choice.
did it. Yes. Totally.
And having grace with yourself of like,
for sure.
I only have this much kindness.
Right.
And
so when those needs are met and you're taken care of, you have greater bandwidth to be able to be kind.
Yeah. And telling your kids, like, these are all the things that have been happening. So I'm trying to be kind, but I'm like at the edge of my rope, or
right.
Like, let's all work together here because this is really hard for me. This is hard. Like, when it's hard for me, it's hard for you. You know, like that, expressing that, I think goes a long way too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Otherwise, kids are like, whoa, mom just freaked out and like don't understand why.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's more shocking.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they're trying to make sense of it. And then the whole house is all sort of like,
walking on eggshells.
right, what's happening?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, physical.
Okay, emotional was the other one that stood out. And I think at our core, we are emotional beings. And people who are very logically driven don't like to admit that. But we make this decision for just like the snap decision, and then we look for reasons why that exists or why that's what we came to the conclusion, right? And so we're just taking in information from the world around us to process that.
So emotional kindness, what does that look like? How can you be emotionally kind
And this is
to emotions?
to
Like,
yourself. So we're still
okay.
talking about being
Taking care of
kindness,
your emotions. Is
exactly.
that kind of what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to, the fear or the anxiety or the sadness or all of that is coming from somewhere. And then you have to honor it and like recognize that it's there.
And it's not bad.
No.
It may not be good.
It just is.
Like it just is. There's not a definition. There's no morality to that.
You're right. Nothing else needs to be part of that other than I feel sad.
Yeah.
If you want to dig in and figure out why, then do that. Because usually there's something.
Yeah. It kind of goes along with physical and emotional, but I think one of the best things we can do to be kind to ourselves is to learn to just like control that inner voice, so I hesitating what all I want to say about it, but so I have a sister that has always just been very critical of herself, and a lot of the things that she would say that she'd point out in flaws in herself, I saw in myself. And so as a little girl, I was like, oh, I don't like this or I don't like that, because my sister also has those same features and she doesn't like those things. And then I saw it in her daughter, and her daughter would say those same kind of phrases. And so her inner voice affected my inner voice, and it affects her daughter's inner voice.
It's not an inner voice if you've heard it.
Totally, right, right. Well, and
more than an inner voice.
Exactly, right.
And there's the whole thing about parents, about moms, right? Like, be careful what you say, because your kids are look very close to you. They're like, I hate my hips. Like, your kids probably will have your hips.
Right.
And so helping. And like, one of the things that went around social media a while back was like, get in the picture. And so like,
yeah.
Do you guys know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah. How moms are always get out of the pictures, or they're like, "Oh, I'm not
good enough.
I don't look
yet.
good in my swimsuit, so let's just take a picture of them," or whatever it might be. Yeah.
And like stopping that conversation, that outer voice that maybe we all have inner voices that we can't control, but like stopping that and deciding to say something different and to just get in the picture and like be okay with who you are. If you can't do it for yourself, at least do it for your daughters to know, I don't want my inner voice to become their inner voice.
Right. Also interesting, the end of that story is my sister was in her first marriage was pretty toxic. It wasn't a healthy relationship. She got divorced. She ended up getting remarried. This current husband's amazing. And like, he's so positive. He loves her where she is and all these things. And her voice that I hear now is so much better. Yeah. And so that's interesting too, because I think he had a big impact on that. And so now with our younger kids, I don't see that same thing. But anyway, so I just think it's really hard because we are all really critical of ourselves. And like, I'm the first one that can tell you my flaws and like things that I would love to be different or whatever. However, we have to learn to, like, whatever it is, either let that go or not dwell on it, but I promised myself my kids would never hear me say anything negative about my body or about myself, because my girls look a lot like me.
Yeah. Yeah. And who you surround yourself with too.
Right.
Like the friendship that you guys have created, the kindness that you have, because I don't ever hear you guys talking critical about each other.
Only if we're trying to make each other laugh.
No, that's not like the thoughts that I'm having.
Right.
And I think I've trained myself to do that, because that comes to our next point.
Right.
So be kind to yourself physically, emotionally, recognize those emotions, honor them, validate them. And that's all you have to do there. And then mentally, and it's that story in our head. What are we telling ourselves? I don't want to be in that picture. No, I'm going to challenge that and do that. And I read the other day, 95% of our thoughts are automatic.
They just happen.
Autopilot,
Yeah.
right? Like getting home from work, it just happens. You move somewhere new, you have to learn that new pathway to get there. But you have to do it 5, 6, a dozen, a year, 3 years worth before it becomes autopilot. And so you have to practice that. And then with that statistics, also 80% of our thoughts are negative.
Oh, and that was really surprising. As we were discussing that, I was like, what, really? That's
80%?
crazy.
Especially having positivity in my top 5, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. But then as I was reading more about it, they're saying as humans, we are wired to look for threats, to look at a situation, make judgments, not bad or good, whatever, just make a judgment. And so in that judgment, what we're looking for is threats, which are negative.
Yeah.
And so
For the purpose to change.
Well, for the purpose to survive, right? And so now we're evolved, but our brains are still wired the same.
Yeah.
And so we have that. We're making judgments all the time.
And they're all probably like negative, and things that we could point out in people that are negative.
Something that looks different from what you're used to, which isn't necessarily bad, but it's a negative. That's different.
Yeah.
That's not just like a going with.
So then it's interesting because as we were discussing it, I was like, I don't feel like my thoughts are negative, but then also I don't know if it's because we've trained over the years or whatever to like, well, that doesn't serve me. That doesn't make me feel good, you know? And so anyway, I think though, like I do have some kids that lean toward the critical and the negative. And so for example, like I was driving the other day and I was the one driving and had a daughter in the passenger seat. And we pulled up to the stoplight and there was one car and there was like an entire car width in front of them that was empty. And they were also like a good 2.5 feet over the line into the wrong lane. And so they had room to move forward and course correct and all the things, you know, but I just kind of drove to the side of them and pulled up. And my daughter was like, what the heck? What an idiot. Why are they there? And I was like, no, you're not wrong.
Right.
Like they totally are not in the right spot and it is inconvenient or whatever. But I'm like, but I said, I don't want that to affect my day. You know, I don't want that to affect me. And it would be really easy. And I'm sure we've all seen drivers that are like, what the heck? Blankety blank.
Yeah.
But you can choose that and you feel all that anger. You can feel that unkindness, right? Or you can be like, does it matter? You know?
And also, the first thought, they're an idiot,
Right.
was the negative thought. We can challenge that and we can push back and we can find a new route. And so the way we see that is like, oh, they're an idiot. Maybe they are distracted. Maybe there's something going on. Maybe, and so allowing that.
Which also leads to another thought that we talked a lot about, where I think that a lot of the kindness comes from giving people the benefit of the doubt. And so just like, hey, you know, like maybe they had a really important text come through and they're sitting there and they're like, I've got to take care of this. I didn't notice that the car in front of me pulled forward and there's extra room. I'm in distress right now for whatever reason. Like, I don't know. I mean, like maybe they're just an idiot. But also, it feels better for me to assume the best in them, right?
Yeah.
Which has now turned our being kind mentally and our thought processes to kindness to others.
Which is our second point.
Right.
So we have kindness to ourselves and then kindness to others.
Right. And so you've taken care of your needs. You've taken care of your brain.
Your bucket's full.
Your bucket is full. You've
Right.
learned how to look for the good in others. And
You're
then
trying to retrain your whole brain, your process to like look for positive, right?
Right,
And
Which is like an exercise. You're literally saying this is an exercise.
Where 80% of our thoughts are negative.
and it's a muscle we're going to strengthen.
Yeah.
And
I think
practice.
for some people it does come more naturally, and you see it in kids, right? That some kids just tend to be more positive, optimistic, and some struggle and are always negative and pointing out the critical and whatever, all those kinds of things. But I do think it's a muscle that you can develop and get better at for sure.
Yeah, and some kids more naturally can bounce a ball
Absolutely.
and catch a ball or whatever the other.
Right.
There's a zillion analogies.
We are not all the same,
Yeah.
which we know.
Yeah.
And so we can't assume that anybody else is looking at the world the same way we are.
So how do you be kind to others?
Good question,
Right?
Jenny.
That is a good question. And that's the hard thing where like I was trying to think, what are takeaways that you can like learn? How do you learn this?
Right, or actionable things that you say, okay, go out and be kind now. You've
Right.
learned
Yeah.
the steps, now go do.
Right.
And that's harder.
It is. And sometimes as I have chatted with some of my girls, so I've got 5 kids. I've got one boy. And their personalities are very, very different. All of them are pretty different. And I have some that are just very aware of people's feelings and
Their empathy.
they're totally empathetic. Yeah, they know. And from a young age, you know. And then I have some that it's like trickier and they don't understand why would this person be upset by that? Like that's not logical. That doesn't make sense to me right now. And so like with one of them where I had troubles with friends, and the friend reacted in a way that she didn't feel like was logical and kept trying to talk about it that way. And she kept saying, Mom, it doesn't make sense. Like, I just want to be able to talk about this or that. And so I had to stop her and explain, like, she's not thinking about logic right now. She's she's going off of how she feels. And for this daughter, she doesn't go off of her feelings. She goes off of logic. And so I had to try to take her aside and teach her and talk about how this makes somebody feel. And she's like, well, it's not logical. And I said, but that doesn't matter. Like, this is how it makes them feel. And so when you say this is how it makes them feel. And as a result, she's been able to like look and say, okay, I realize even for most women, like most women fit in this category where they act more on emotion rather than logic, right? And so it's been tricky for her to learn and say, okay, I'm learning how other people might see this, even though it's different from me. But it has had to be like a sit down talking, like really painful tears teaching moment.
And now it logically makes sense to her.
Right.
She still had to get to that.
And that's what I love about the Clifton Strengths, because you can pull up what I bring and what I need and what they bring and what they need for those different things. Because I don't have empathy in my top 20. I mean, it's real down there. But Garth does. And so as I lean on his and I understand what he needs, and as he understands what I need, we can come together and have those conversations.
For sure. And like with this daughter, because it's not as natural for her, we have said, because it was just some unfortunate texts that went back and forth and were hurtful because they were both feeling so hurt. And my daughter couldn't figure out why she couldn't see this logical point of view, and the other one couldn't figure out why this daughter couldn't see why she was hurting her. Anyway, I lost my train of thought with that.
As you practice the exercise of doing it.
Oh, yeah. So some unfortunate texts were sent. And I said, I think it could be really helpful in the future when you're having hard relational things with friends, if you can take a minute and come and say, hey, Mom, like, I wrote this text. Is this going to come across the way that I want it to?
Yeah. And if you don't have a mom that can do it, like ChatGPT is really good at helping with that.
Yeah, what did we do before ChatGPT?
Well,
Jamie would send it to Abby and say, hey, can you proofread this email?
I totally would.
Can you make this nice?
That was our start of our friendship, right?
Yeah.
You're like, how do I say this? This is what I really want to say.
Yeah. Like, why on earth are they all getting so offended?
Right.
Like, this is what I'm trying to say. And Abby would write this, like, fluffy
I would take your
like,
words, add some softer things, and round the corners a little bit.
A lot of it.
Point across.
Yeah. Because the goal wasn't necessarily to, like, and that's, I think, like, this has been my journey, right? Like, as Abby's, like, interpreted my clunky way of communicating.
But getting things done.
I was
it's
going to
not
say you're
necessarily
efficient.
clunky, it's efficient. I added words to it.
And it's data driven. You know what I mean? Like, here are the facts. Here's the message I'm trying to communicate. That's all we need.
It has a place. It has a place. So I took your efficiency, added a whole bunch of flowery words to soften it.
Yes,
right?
which is not optimizing the text messaging.
No.
She's thinking this is less efficient.
Optimization. Right, exactly. She's like, really? This is what I'm supposed to say?
But also, everyone can come away feeling better.
Yes, and that is the goal, right? Like, the goal is not to piss people off.
Right.
Like, the goal
Right, you
is...
wanted the program to work better.
Yeah.
So you were making judgments. 80% of those, I'm seeing the problems here.
I can see what needs
I
to be
can focus
fixed.
in on that and get it done. But here's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And other people are like,
I think another thing that's important to note, like along the same lines, is that, and this kind of also ties in with, we need to just assume best intentions in people, is that I might think that I'm doing something kind for you, and it still depends on how they interpret it, what they do with that. They might not think it's kind. So like, you are more of, the logic driven or whatever. And so Abby and I are like maybe thinking, oh, we'll spend some quality time with Jamie and
we'll spend all afternoon with her.
And then like make us record it and put headphones on you and like, don't worry, just talk natural.
Act normal, like a normal conversation.
Normal. It's fine.
But like it could be where you're like thinking, this is so disrespectful of my time. I've got other things I need to get done. We're trying to like build this connection with you. We think we're being kind and we're not, because
you're like, these guys
you value
need to get
time,
out of my
not
house.
the connection. You know what I mean? Or whatever it might be.
Right.
Anyway, and so that's just one silly example. But
which is now we do your dishes while we're doing our time that way.
Exactly. We stay long for Taco Tuesday.
Check off the boxes.
We get to bond. You get some
your
things
dishes
done.
So I was just talking to another very strong, similar mother personality as me. And we talked about this concept of coaching versus consulting. And when you hire a coach, like sports ball, right?
Yeah.
Coaches help the person be better. They know the answers. They figure it out themselves. Consultants, like in a business, you hire a consultant because the consultant is very knowledgeable, knows it, and tells how to fix the problem. So we have these like two different ways to approach things, a coach and a consultant. And as parents or as friends or as, so like let's talk to the parents. As parents who are trying to help their kids, like you're trying to help your daughter to see a different point of view, are we consulting them on how to do that? Or are we coaching them on how to do that? And how that comes at a different, like that's a different approach. And someone logical, like obviously I'm going to consult them because I know more than they do and I've been there and
this is how you do it.
But that's actually not the best way, right? Like as a parent, we like we're the safety net of years, because that's kind of the concept of this podcast is now we're raising our kids because one day they're going to launch out and become something amazing, and they're doing that. So have I done coaching or am I just consulting them? And coaching is, I don't know, you guys.
I feel like coaching gives them the confidence to do it on their own.
Yeah.
We're consulting, they're just going to keep calling me and saying, how do I get the stain out of these clothes? How do I do this out of this, you know? And they're just going to keep coming to me for data, for information. But coaching is kind of like what do you think? And I believe in you. You can do it. And that's super fluffy, but also like my kids move away now and think, I can do it.
Yeah. And like exercise, right? Like you do, I don't know, you guys need to talk about the sports terms, but you like run the laps or like do the things. Like what are those called?
Yeah,
Laps.
Drills.
Yeah.
Drills. There we go. You do the drills.
Do the drills.
So as coaches, like that's exactly what you're describing, doing these drills on communicating with kindness.
Well, and I don't know if you guys have heard the statistic, and I wish I had it with me right now, but that kids, when they're doing something, when they're trying to be taught something, it takes like, I can't remember, it was something
it's
like
5 years.
Like you're the one who told
well,
me
it was hundreds of times. It was how many times?
Well, you have 10,000 hours is the whole concept of
okay.
that. There's
It's
like
not
that
the stat that I'm
thing.
looking for. I might have to Google it.
Okay.
Because it talked about how many times you have to do something before you can get it down. And not be like...
You can stop and Google it.
Okay, yeah, I will. But I'll give you the gist of it right now, and then we can Google it and say it again.
Okay.
But that if they're doing it through play, it takes like 3 times. And so if they're being told, it takes a ton of times. Let's just
so you're saying there's like lectures,
so
and
I'm
then there's
saying
like
consulting is
application.
almost lecture.
Yeah, it
And
is.
coaching is, hey, okay, here's what we're going to do. I want you to do it. I want you to, let's incorporate that into this.
And as a kid, how
want me to
much
look
more
that up?
powerful, nah, that's fine.
Yeah.
As a kid, how much more powerful is it if you come to your parent who's been coaching you and then you ask for a consultation and you say, you've coached me with this, I've run these drills, I figured this out. Now you're the expert. Can you actually tell me what I should do in this situation? Like that's when they'll actually apply it and listen and do it.
Yeah.
And that's powerful. You can't just lead out with that.
Well, and sometimes they have to go through hard things to figure that out. And that's what
And you have
happened
to
with this
let
one kid
them.
of mine was, she went through some really hard things, really hard relationship stuff, and then realized I didn't handle that well. Maybe my mom could help me in this. And so the next time something came up, she was like, hey, will you read this first? And I was like, yeah, let's talk about it. Like, here's how they might take that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love it as a parent when you are coaching and coaching and coaching, and then like you can step back and let them perform, and you just get to be the cheerleader at that point.
Yes.
And just cheer them on for the foul that they did on the court, like the bad, the good, all of it. Like I am proud of you, and I get to watch this.
Whether you win or lose.
Right.
I'm here to cheer you on.
Right.
Yeah.
So I looked up a few quotes about kindness, and they're all from so this one's from the Mayo Clinic, and it was interesting because they have an entire program dedicated to kindness, and you can sign up, and it's a month-long thing, and it has different challenges and videos to watch all about kindness, and it's through the Mayo Clinic. Pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Because also there's science backing up kindness and the impact that it has on people's lives, not just your life, but the community at large and all the things.
The world, the whole world around us.
Yeah.
Totally. So this is from their website. It says, kindness means harboring a spirit of helpfulness, being generous and considerate, and doing so without expecting anything in return. Kindness has been shown to increase self-esteem, empathy, and compassion, decrease anxiety and stress, and improve mood and relationships. It's all good stuff.
Have you guys seen that in your own lives?
For sure.
When's the time?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I think being kind and being nice, like that's one of the differences here is that so kindness means harboring a spirit of helpfulness, generous, considerate, without expecting anything in return. And I think being nice is not as much action behind it. Maybe, I don't know.
Just being nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you can be nice, but what are the eyes behind the smile? And that's like, oh, you're being nice because of love, because of kindness within.
Yeah. So Psychology Today, their website said, kindness is about showing up in the world with compassion and acting for the greater good of all. While being nice is about being polite, pleasant, and agreeable and doing what we think we should, kindness goes a step beyond. So I'll tell you a story. So my husband's a physician and he's a surgeon, and a lot of surgical residencies, well, generally surgical residencies have a reputation for being toxic and awful, and the surgeons are jerks. And that's pretty standard, yeah? Anyway, and so he, in his first year of residency, he's just a nice guy, like just such a nice guy. First year of residency, his chief resident told him that if he wasn't more of an asshole, he wasn't going to get anything done. And Jared came home and he was just so frustrated, and he was like, I'm trying to be a good person. Like, I'm trying to be Christ-like. I'm trying to be respectful of others. And they're looking at it like I am weak. And it ended up being something that was hard for those entire 5 years of residency.
Wow.
And it was interesting because I think these surgeons, they looked at it as weakness, and they didn't value that in him. They value staying long at the hospital and getting all of your research done and publications and, all those kinds of things. And so it was looked at as weak. And he kept going back. We had so many discussions about it. He kept saying, I just think this is the right thing to do. I trust that the nurses know what they're doing, and they're going to finish things when they have time to do it. And they're capable of their job. I don't need to yell at them. I don't have to keep harping on them to get it done. They're going to get it done because they're good at what they do. Anyway, so it goes on these 5 years, and every time we'd have a work party, the nurses would flock over to me, and they would rave about Jared and how much they love working for Jared, and how in the operating room they would make sure that he had everything all laid out and had the right size gloves, because they have tons of really specific sizes of gloves. And anyway, everything was all ready to go. And then they were like, sometimes we put the wrong size stuff out there just because he's a jerk. and I'm like, how do they not see this?
Yeah.
But everybody,
the
other doctors, how can they not see that this is of value? But now here he is in little rural Idaho, where he works he's not working with other doctors for the most part. He's working with nurses and staff and OR people, all the different things, right? And they love him for his kindness. And so I'm so grateful that they didn't train that out of him, because they kind of do out of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And also, it is, it's such a busy, time-consuming profession that it would be really easy to just be like, no, get this done now.
Yeah. Efficiency.
Optimization. Totally.
Yeah.
Right. He's also adaptable. I think that's in his top 5. Oh, and after residency, because I felt really passionate about this, and I hung up this really big poster in our basement that said, now I'm all of a sudden, the truest greatness lies in being kind. So I had that poster, the truest greatness lies in being kind, hanging in our house, because I thought that's more important than how many publications Jared has or how many accolades or whatever awards. Those are all great. I want him to be a good physician, but I want him to be a good person. I think that's so much more important.
Yeah. And as we teach our kids to be that in school,
Yeah.
Or on sports teams or wherever it is that they're getting involved in other things, that is. And that's why it's the center of the Joyriffic chart, right? No matter how you've acted, no matter how you've been, be like a goldfish and come back and be kind. Even if they've been a super jerk to you. I've had situations on the HOA here in little rural Idaho that people were really mean to me.
Yeah.
And I still invite them to Taco Tuesday. They can still come and eat and let's forgive and move on.
Which is commendable.
Well,
yeah,
it is.
You have to assume best intentions, or
Be able
looking
to let
for the
go.
good, and to be like, okay, this isn't about me.
yeah.
There's more to this. Otherwise, you carry it all on yourself, and then
Yeah, and I don't have time for that. Going back to the optimization, let it go. So, if you're wasting energy on something that could be resolved with kindness and forgiveness. Like maybe
Right.
that's right in alignment with kindness is when you have been hurt, what do you do? How do you be kind to somebody that's hurt you?
Yeah.
There's your question. How do you be kind
Oof.
to somebody that's hurt you?
Been there, done that, huh?
Yeah. So we had a situation in Chicago when Devin started his fellowship, and there was some paperwork stuff that slowed everything down, and he wasn't able to start when he was supposed to, when his attending wanted him to. So we were a couple months behind, and the attending like called him and was like, Franson, you got to get your act together. Like, you were supposed to start. I don't know what this is all about. I don't know, like, maybe you're not cut out for this. And, kind of berating him and making him feel awful. And it was a paperwork thing with the state of Illinois. So it was nothing we could do differently. We turned in everything to the program's office, just like we were supposed to. When they asked for it, it was just a paperwork thing we were waiting for. And so his attending, who he is kind of has to impress,
Totally.
Like
you
your
want them-
livelihood depends on this relationship.
So his attending is like, I don't know who the heck you are. I don't know why you think that this is a good way you can act to just not even show up. And he's like, I came the first week and you told me there was nothing I can do. Anyway, so there was all of this issues. Devin felt awful. He felt like he couldn't do his job. He felt like this guy wasn't going to let him do his job. And like telling the story it makes it seem like it wasn't really a big deal, but it was actually everything. Like Devin had worked years to get this fellowship, got all the med school, all of residency, got this one fellowship that existed in the country. Like it was a kind of a big deal that we were there. They'd take one fellow a year. This was all the stuff he had worked for. We had just moved our family. And it was a rough move. Like we were living in the middle of Chicago and we had no income because we couldn't start this this fellowship. Anyway, so it was like we were trying to do everything to make this work. It wasn't working. It felt like this guy was out to get us.
Yeah.
It felt like the program was not supporting us. It felt awful. And I remember calling my dad and just being like, this is awful. Like there's nothing we can do about this, but makes him look like terrible.
Yeah.
And this guy that we don't even know, but we are supposed to like worship, is just berating him and tearing him down. And so I felt a lot of anger and hatred to that man. So I was like, you are destroying my husband, who already struggles with depression. You are now tearing him down and making him feel not worthwhile and like he can't do it and he shouldn't have done it and is questioning every life decision he made. And so I'm like, that's not helping his mindset. That's not helping our family. Like, you are out to get us is how I felt. And my dad, he said he had a similar situation at work. And his ultimate answer that came to him was, like, pray for your enemies. Pray for those who despitefully use you. Despitefully use you? Spitefully use you.
Spitefully.
Pray for them. So I did. And spoiler, it all worked out in the end, as it usually does. But in that moment, it felt heavy. But praying for this man and the state of Illinois, who were holding our papers hostage, praying for them helped my heart. Whether God answered that prayer by making him nice or making our thing go through, probably not. But he worked in my heart. And I was able to allow grace and love.
Yeah, forgiveness,
right. And it was like, assume the best in others. Like, he was not out to get us. And I can see that now. And outside of the emotion, but when you're in the emotion, it feels like they do not have your best interests at heart.
Yeah. Well, and I like how you said, talking about it now, it doesn't seem like a big deal.
Right.
And so often, if we can like keep that in mind as things happen, like, what is this going to matter in 10 years? And like,
feels big now.
It feels big.
Right.
And it would matter for you guys in 10 years if
Right.
he didn't finish the fellowship. Or,
Right.
Like, yeah, there is merit behind it. And so continue to invest your energies in that. But if it doesn't matter in 10 years, how do you let that go? And like allowing your energy to live in that space of kindness. It's hard.
Yeah.
Right. But the answer to that was pray for them.
So as you pray for people, it's hard. Like it still is hard. I remember when I first moved here, which was before you guys got here. So I was here by myself for 4 years.
By yourself.
No one else lived in Idaho.
No other friends. No, I was here. I was in a really hard place because achiever is one of my top, right? Yeah. And when we got here, I was not achieving because we had this new medical. We had like all of these things. Like it
You were
was
surviving. You're figuring stuff out.
Barely surviving.
I was like drowning. I was drowning is what it was. And I went through ministering sisters. Like every 2 months, they would change my ministering sisters. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like I don't know. I just thought maybe that's what they do in Idaho. I'd never been here. And years later, somebody said to me, oh, I remember when you first moved here and they asked me to be your visiting teacher. And I said, no, like she's way too. And I was like, hey, lady, like we're not good enough friends for you to tell me that right now. Like that was rude. That was really mean.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. And then I got out of her car and like shut the door and I was like, thanks for the ride. Bye. But sometimes people say things meaning to bond or meaning to be friendly. And that was not friendly. That was not nice. That was very mean.
Super hurtful.
And it was really, really hurtful.
Yeah.
So another time that happened, and as I reflect on that story, have I ever been that person that said the hurtful thing?
Probably. I do all the time when I think I'm being hilarious.
Yeah.
Right. And then
And I'm like, say it joking because it's funny, but
sometimes it's not funny.
No.
Yeah.
Undo.
Right.
Yeah. So another time that something happened to me that was very unkind is somebody texted me a screenshot of my Facebook page, and I just had Finn 3 days before. And Finn had this blood work that came back positive that was really scary sounding, and like the newborn blood screenings. Anyways, this person texted me and a screenshot of my thing and went on to talk about like all of this negative stuff about me. The text was meant for somebody else. It was not meant for me.
Oh my heck.
So
That reminds us not to send texts like that.
yeah.
Right.
Like
Ever.
even if you have those thoughts,
Right.
80% of our thoughts are negative. They
Yeah.
don't have to be shared.
Yes. And don't accidentally send a text
Seriously.
like, to anybody. Like that's
No.
just not kind. And here I was, hormonal, still 2016. You guys still hadn't been here yet. Like I didn't have my
we
great
weren't
friends.
even here for you.
Sorry.
So that happened very, very mean. And I was just like, Garth, how do I respond? And I responded like, I don't think you meant to send this to me. Like, and she said, oh, oops. And, right?
Yeah. I like am
And
feeling that for you right now. Oh
my
heck.
heart wants to cry.
So I deleted it. Here's my tip. Like, don't sit and dwell on it. Cause like, I would actually love to like reread that now of like, was it really that mean? It was really that mean. It was terrible, but don't dwell on that. So like within, I don't know, Garth helped me. By the end of the night, we deleted it because I just kept coming back to it. I was like, how could someone really say this to me? And like, I'd read it again, like maybe if I'd interpret it a different way, like, yeah, no, there was no interpreting it a different way. Like it was absolutely to destroy it was meant to be mean to me. Yeah. And that happens. So those are kind of like some extreme of stories like that. And, later, this family who was within the ward, right? This person ended up getting a diagnosis that we're really familiar with, type 1. And I did not want to go and help, but I am a big girl and I put on my big girl panties and I said like, okay, I can come and help. And like, cause when you get a new diagnosis like that, like you're drowning and you need help. So I did, and we went and helped, and like we're friendly, and kind, and nice, like more than nice. We were kind, and
showing up
like,
is kind.
Oh,
you going over there,
it can be hard.
That's kind.
It can be hard, and we went, and they've moved since, and so, like, I don't know. There's a lot of prayers that need to happen. And if you find yourself in this scenario where something like this has happened, figure out how to cope and how to process and how to let it go. And it might take a professional. You might need to see a therapist. You might need to see a psychiatrist. Like there are deep things that can happen that need help, but also don't ever be that person that accidentally did that.
Right. Right. Well, and as you were telling that story and your story before too, I was thinking about how we all make mistakes, right? And we hope that, like, even just yesterday, I was commenting in a thread, and I kind of just was doing it quick, a quick response, and then I read it later, and I was like, that didn't like come across very nice. It was mostly informative, but then I just said, I was like, that didn't come across the way I wanted to, and I just said it again because I think sometimes we have to be like, oh, whoops, like rewind, let's start again,
or also have like friends
I'm
where like
sorry.
Abby can say, I think she meant to say it like this.
Totally.
Right. And
100%.
and you can step in and be like, hey, Jamie, that's excellent information. And then add some things.
Yeah.
And like, let's take off some of those sharp edges.
Right.
And
But
like,
that's offering grace. That's
Right,
me offering
yes.
grace, knowing how you come at the world, knowing how you process things.
yeah. And I won't be offended that you're correcting me, right?
Right.
Like we're helping each other.
Well, and we
Right.
actually kind of chatted about that. It was a simple interaction. It wasn't a big deal. But about how also the people in the text know my heart and hopefully are going to assume best intentions and not be like, wow, that was kind of,
Yeah,
I don't even know
jackass.
it.
But if that was our first thought, then the next thought needs to be, what's going on?
Yeah.
Why is
That's
she in
not
distress?
Kel. Like,
Yeah.
Right. Like, maybe
Right.
I should check in. And I feel like that's the kindness. So that automatic thought of what a jackass is like, that's automatic. We have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Do something productive, do something helpful, do something kind
Yeah.
to yourself or for the other. If it's a negative thought of yourself, redirect it.
And
Right.
don't feed that negativity.
Right.
Because as you like, and
Can
then
you
start a new
believe it?
thread. Can you believe what Kelly said about
Right.
this?
Screenshot
Like,
that whole thing and send it
Yes.
accidentally to the person
to
that sent
Kelly.
it. Whoops.
Like, you are a jackass. Like, yeah.
My bad.
Right? Like,
I would have
It's
said it to your
also-
face. There's no way I would have.
no. Yeah. Yeah. So you have a story.
yeah. So I've had a situation in my life that was similar that reminded me of your story where I had a friend who she's somebody that just has not had a lot of female friends in her life, and probably because what goes along with the story where she just has a hard time knowing how to connect with people and understanding like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this or that. So I had this situation where I was driving somewhere and she called me and I said, hey, I have 5 minutes before I get to where I'm supposed to be. Like, so I can either call you back later, or if that's enough time, then that's great. So in the 5 minutes, she starts telling me about all these things, this conversation she had with her husband about me. Now, granted, I don't know her husband. I've met him. We've never had a conversation. I don't know this man. Anyway, and he was talking about how I like to be in charge of the social group because I am power hungry and I want to be in charge and I'm controlling and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and she went on and said like really like awful things, which...
That were discussed in a private
with her and her husband. Yeah. And so she called to tell me about this. And I can't even remember everything that was said. But the point was...
But it was hurtful.
It was really hurtful. And it also goes so against my character. Like, when I try to connect with people, it's because I love people.
Yeah.
And because I'm trying to help people find belonging and connection and friendship and things like that. And so then to hear somebody say that I'm, like, using this to manipulate people or to be power hungry or whatever, I'm like, that is, like, so far from the truth. It's almost ridiculous.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I couldn't even laugh about it, that it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It just felt really hurtful.
Well, and it hit like way deep.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, how can I be so mischaracterized, Anyway, so it was hurtful. And she also just didn't quite have the boundaries to realize like, I probably shouldn't share this, And so then rather than also her, assuming or defending me and like, no, this is what it is. She says to me in the conversation, she said, is that true? And I was like, if you don't know the answer to that, then because we've been friends for a couple of years at this point. And I'm like, then we're really not on the same page,
Yeah.
And I just said, hey, I'm here. I've got to go. And anyway, it just really, really hurt me. And I came in and I felt emotional. And anyway, but then she had reached out the next day and reached out in a big group thread and was saying, hey, I have this big thing I need to celebrate. Who can go out with me? And it was crickets. Like nobody else responded. There was radio silence. And I sat there and I thought, I can show up. And like, I really, I was going to say, I really feel like I know that it was grace from God, who's like, you can give a little bit more. Yes, sometimes things are hard here with this particular situation, but also throughout it all, he just keeps giving me a little bit of grace to offer her. And so I showed up, and I was the only one, and we went and got ice cream and talked about her thing that she needed to celebrate. But then that being said, I think it's really important to note that being kind doesn't mean you're a pushover, and it doesn't mean you let people walk over you or whatever. So we also had a hard conversation later where I said, like, hey, this was really hurtful. This is why it was hurtful, and she recognized at that point in a healthy place, she was like, I was in distress, and I thought that talking, this would help us feel closer together. Anyway, and so we were able to talk, and I could say, well, like, I won't be okay being talked to like this.
You've crossed a boundary. This is the boundary.
Exactly. And so, like, if it happens again, maybe we'll talk about that and I'll say, hey, it seems like you're in distress, and maybe now's not a good time to communicate. So I don't want to say, like, you should always just be a doormat and let people walk all, like, that's not it at all. Like, I can say no to people and things like that, and I don't think that has anything to do with being kind or not kind.
That's an awesome story, and so helpful for those who maybe need a little extra grace. And to be a friend that can be kind. Because you could have, like, at that text thread ended in crickets, and then you just started a new text thread, and, like, she's not on it.
I had no obligation to go. And there were other people that could have shown up too, you know?
And maybe other people who've been offended by her that didn't want to show up.
Right.
But then here you can show up and can set boundaries and can be a friend and can be kind and nice and loving.
And offering that grace and also the assuming best intentions, right, kind of takes me back to, because I know her story and I know more of her life, where I realize that she has a hard time knowing these social rules that are unwritten, that some people just know, like, we don't have to talk about and discuss, like, this is how you treat people. But then for her, she's like, I keep breaking these rules and I don't know what they are. And so to be able to have that vulnerable conversation and realize this is not as easy. Like, if Abby says something like that to somebody, she's going to know, like, this is going to hurt them. She knows.
Right.
And she didn't. And so that also gives me a little bit more like I said, grace to be like, I can keep offering love with some boundaries.
Which I think we all want to be given that grace. By each other, by God, all of the things. And I'm sitting here thinking, we are not experts on this, but listeners, give us the grace to recognize that our experience is our experience. Right. And so, like, it can't be judged by somebody else because they haven't lived in our shoes.
Right. And so often what you're going through now, maybe in 10 years will seem like such a small little thing.
Right.
But you are experiencing it now and it hurts.
Right.
Or you can be that bigger person and step up. Like, I don't know what end of the scale you're on right now. And, like, if you're the one that needs the extra grace, if you're the one that can provide the extra grace. And I think throughout our lifetime, we're both of those.
Right.
At some point.
For sure.
And it makes me think of, we don't know what wounds people have. Like, when someone has a broken arm, you can see that and you're like, oh, I signed their cast. I'll bring them dinner because they can't cook or they can't, like, I can see what needs to happen, or I can see that something is going on there. But so many of our hurts are unseen. So going into any interaction with people, knowing there's so much more than the 80% negative judgments I'm making on this right now.
Right. And I was just chatting with one of my daughters, my 6th grader, recently about friendship and how she's kind of had some hard friendship things too, because we all do. It's just a normal part of life, right? But I said, you don't have to be best friends with everyone, but you should be kind to everyone.
And the 2 things at Joyriffic chart: be helpful, be kind. And it used to be helpful, be happy. And, like, that's not enough. It's not be helpful, be happy, because sometimes you're sad. But you can be helpful. You can always be kind. Like, even if you're sad, even if you're having a bad day, like, stop, reevaluate, and be kind.
Right. I think that kindness also comes from respect. Like, I'll be respectful, I'll be kind, even though I'm, like, frustrated right now or whatever. And I think that you can have an argument, a disagreement, and be kind. You can have it and say, we can have a hard conversation and not see eye to eye, but also be kind and respectful while doing it.
And just along in those lines, if you're really heated, maybe pause
Walk away.
and say, I want to be kind. I'm a little too emotional about this right now. Can we revisit this tomorrow? Or can we schedule some time? Or I need to talk to my counselor before I talk to you again. Like whatever it is, helping with that. Like it's hard. It's hard. It's messy. And that's the point of it.
Right.
Like this is hard because this is the life that we came to. If it was easy, right?
On that note, my something that keeps popping into my head is kindness is love, right? And being able to offer that grace, it's because we're first loved and we are loved and we can be loved. And so I equate those together and I think of the 2 great commandments, love God, love your neighbor. Like those are the great commandments. That's what's required of us. The others help us be good human beings, but those 2, like that is you must do.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they're called commandments because if loving people were easy, I don't think we would be commanded to do it.
It would just be like a small suggestion.
Yeah,
Right? Like don't forget to love.
Yeah.
Right? But no, it's like, no, like that is why you're here. That is what you're here to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And back to the very beginning, we were talking about you learn it when you apply it. And that's why we have the atonement. Because when you messed up, like you can try a little bit better. You can do a little bit better. It like you're not, if you're a mean person, like there's still hope.
Yeah.
There's still time.
Practice.
Yeah.
Recognize.
And it might be clunky.
Practice.
Like,
right.
Yeah.
One of the things we really recognize as we were talking about kindness as well is, so be kind to self, be kind to others. And be kind to others, that's Jesus, right?
Yeah.
That Christ was kind to everyone. And it doesn't mean he agreed with everyone. It doesn't mean that he thought what they were doing was okay or whatever it might be. But like he was kind to everyone and he was respectful of everyone and had different opinions or whatever it might be, but always offered kindness.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
we all need to be like Jesus.
be like Jesus.
What would
is
Jesus
what I was
do?
gonna say.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
In conclusion, as you are talking to yourself 20 years ago, how would you remind yourself to be kind? Or talking to like your kids and their future spouses or their future situations, like how would you say to them, like, remember, be kind. Like this is the most important thing. So think about that in conclusion.
It's tricky because I think, what about kindness have I not taught my kids? And so I'm like, what do I wish I would have understood as a kid about kindness? And quick, I better teach that to my kid. And it's really hard because kindness is so broad and it's about loving. And I think it's really important for kids to realize that being kind might not always be cool. And it might not make everybody like you the most. But the people who are poor in spirit, who are feeling weak, who are outcast, who are downtrodden, they will feel that love, and it might make all the difference.
And I would even say along that line is it doesn't even have to be an interaction with that person that feels outcast. It could be witnessing you being kind to somebody else, like the story of you going and getting ice cream with that person. Maybe somebody else in that thread was able to say, oh, wow, if Kelli can do that, like, I think I could do that too.
Right. Right. You don't have to be the one that goes and sits with the kid alone at the table at lunch. Like, that is really uncomfortable for a lot of people. And if you can do that, do it by all means. But just because you didn't that time, what else could you do?
Yeah.
Maybe you could suggest to your group of friends that they go. Like, maybe that feels more comfortable. Or when somebody else at that table is talking about the kid over there with the funny looking haircut, you can change the tone.
Yeah.
I feel like this is not a conclusion part. Sorry, this is just more thoughts.
You do whatever you want.
Well, it just made me think about my growing up and how I had a mentor, a teacher that just had such a huge impact in my life. And she had started kind of this group of students to help outreach to all of the other students, to help people feel part of things and to choose to stay and stuff. And Anyway, and she had a huge impact on the way I viewed the world and the way I viewed other people. And I had a couple different quotes that I had hanging up on my wall from like probably 8th or 9th grade through college. And they both tie in with this topic. And one of them is Spencer W. Kimball, and he says, God does notice us and he watches over us, but it is usually through another person that he meets our needs. And like I just took that to heart as a youth, you know, and it made all the difference in the way I felt. And I was constantly like, I just had really good friends, and we would, like in high school, our senior year, we decided to take little lunch boxes, and we went and we would go look around in the lunchroom and see who needs us to sit by them. And like everybody else left, like we had left previous years, but that year we decided, no, like let's stay and make a difference in somebody's life, and let's try to be kind.
Oh my gosh, it's adorable.
Right? Our lunch boxes were adorable.
Lunchbox brigade.
Yes, lunchbox brigade.
But like those little things, and like being part of student council, and we wrote a personal note to every single person in our school, and it took forever, and it was a ton of work, but it changed who I was. And it made me feel more confident, and all those different things where we said, I read it earlier, you know, all those blessings that come from being kind, I felt that, and it made me a better person. And so then my little sister hits middle school. Friends start being really hard. And I remember telling her, I gave her a little pad of sticky notes. And I was like, hey, stick this in your locker, and I want you to look for people and leave them little notes. Stick them a nice little note and put it in their locker. And I don't know how much of that made a difference, but like we would have different conversations about looking outside of yourself. And it makes all the difference in the world, especially when you're a teenager, and it's so hard to get outside of yourself.
The insecurities take over.
Totally, 100%. And if you can start to look outside, it changes your worldview of everything, right?
Yeah. So in September, we're doing a big event, and it's the More Social, Less Media event that we're going to put on. And so now I'm just asking you to talk about your lunchbox brigade in a public situation so that you'll be obligated to do this.
I need to stop saying
But-
stuff.
No, I think social media has affected us and how we act and treat other people. Like if we can stop and put that away, and like at Taco Tuesday, there's no phones out really. Like we're there to have conversations. When you're playing floorball, there's no phones out, right? Like you're there to interact and have conversations with each other. And how we can help our kids have more of that and teach more of that and be part of that, like that's inspiring. That's helpful.
Right.
Something else that I keep circling back to is just, if part of it is you have to know who you are. So being kind to yourself and knowing who you are. And for me, a huge part of my core and my identity is knowing I'm a child of God, that I have divinity and goodness within. And that's who I am. And so part of that knowledge is if I can believe I'm a child of God, I have to believe that you're a child of God and you're a child of God. And knowing that instantly makes your heart softened. Because you see them the way God would see them.
So my dad is like, you guys know my dad. He's like the kindest person in this world. And he'd never heard the concept of I'm a child of God until he was 25. And learning about the church and learning about things. But that primary song of I am a child of God and he has sent me here, right? Like that concept was foreign to him. And there are kids out there in your high school or in your middle school or wherever it is, in your exercise group, like these kids that maybe didn't know that growing up and how that ripple effect can get to them. And because if they're a child of God and they're a jackass, like, I don't know, that's not great.
Makes me think also that I was going to say particularly when you're kids and stuff, but it's probably applicable as adults as well. But when people are unkind, it's usually because they're not feeling good about themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
Like there's reason behind it.
Yeah. So like when my kids are dealing with stuff or somebody's being rude to them, I'm like, this is not about you. You know, there's more going on for that person. Or that they're not feeling that confidence and love that they get from their divine identity or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. C.S. Lewis has the quote of, I sat with my anger long enough to recognize it was grief. And I think often anger is a really easy one to throw out instead of kindness, right? Like if I'm in an if I don't feel good, like I'd rather be angry. than sit and be vulnerable.
Right.
And
being prickly is safer.
Yes.
It keeps people at a distance. It keeps emotions and other people's emotions at a distance.
Yeah. So if somebody's being prickly to you, how can you recognize that? Stop, not get offended by it, and continue to be kind.
Because a hug is not always the answer.
I know some people don't even like hugs.
No, but when they're prickly, like, it's going to hurt you too. Nope, don't do it. You're not going to like this.
Oh my gosh. That clip of the little birds from that show where it's like, you need a hug.
Do you feel better yet? No. Then I guess it hasn't kicked in yet. That's totally how I feel with hugs.
Yes.
I'll just hug you tighter for a minute until you feel it.
But sometimes it's just being there. And sometimes it's that look from the friend across the room.
Yeah.
That says, I see you.
I see that you're in pain. Let's identify.
Yeah.
And,
You can communicate all that with your eyes.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's true.
well, and sometimes it is a hug. There was one time that you
Right.
hugged Ainsley and like to her core filled her bucket right there in the middle of the hallway.
Makes me
And
happy.
it didn't really mean a lot to you, right? Like it
No,
was
I
just in
saw her
passing.
and I was like, hey, Ainsley, hug.
And like
Yeah.
she was praying for support and help and need, and then like here you are hugging her.
Where's the quote?
And she was like, it was a real hug. I was like, well, that's all I give.
It was like a Granny Annie hug.
That's right. She gives good hugs.
Yeah.
So I think in conclusion, first we're working on being kind to ourselves, which is working on, it starts in our heads. And so we've got to work on rewiring those paths and where our mind goes with all of those negative thoughts that we have so many of, right? So that's where it's got to start. And that's a muscle that you're going to have to work. And that you're kind to yourself so that then we can take that outward, right? And then for two, when we're being kind to others, and I'd be curious if you have anything to add to this, but is give people the benefit of the doubt and recognize that they have as much value as you do as a child of God. And I feel like even just kind of those two things are going to help you be able to like take a little breath, act in kindness, or maybe even have to come back and apologize, which is fine too, because we're not perfect. But anyway, I think that those few things are like some takeaways that we can I can work on those things, you know?
I can apply that today in my life. I can choose today to find a way to be kind to myself, and I can choose today to find a way to be kind to somebody else.
Right.
And your kindness will look different than my kindness, because like sometimes my kindness is like mowing their lawn.
Totally.
And sometimes the kindness is giving a hug. Like it can be very, very different.
For sure.
Well, big gulps, eh? Well, thanks, Jamie, for having us on this podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you can hit the end if you want to. You guys are awesome.